Namaste, lovely souls, and welcome back to Artist at Living. What if I told you that fear, the very thing that holds you back, is not your enemy, but your greatest teacher? In this video, we'll explore how fear can actually guide you toward personal growth, transform your challenges into opportunities, and help you unlock the strength you never knew you had. Imagine facing your fears with the wisdom of the Buddha, understanding that the real enemy isn't the fear itself, it's how we react to it. Are you ready to turn fear into a powerful force for change? Imagine a life where fear doesn't control you anymore, a life where you face every challenge with calmness, clear thinking, and unshakable confidence. Sounds perfect, right? But here's the truth. Fear and anxiety are something we all deal with. They sneak into our minds, keep us awake at night, and stop us from living the life we truly want. Now, what if I told you that the ancient teachings of Buddhism, wisdom that has guided millions toward peace and clarity for over 2,500 years, hold powerful tools to help you break free from fear? These teachings aren't just ideas. They offer practical steps to change your mindset and rediscover your inner strength. In today's video, we'll explore 6 powerful lessons from the Buddha that can help you overcome fear, live with courage, and push past your limits. Make sure to stay until the end because there's a special bonus lesson that could be the key to finding true freedom from fear. If you're ready to let go of fear and step into the life you deserve, let's dive in. Lesson 1. Embrace impermanence. What's holding you back? Is it the fear of failure? The fear of loss? Or maybe it's the fear of the unknown? At its core, fear often comes from one big misunderstanding, that life is permanent and predictable. But what if the belief in permanence is what causes our suffering? In Buddhist philosophy, everything in life is temporary. Our happiness, our struggles, and even the fear that feels so overwhelming in the moment. Holding on to the illusion of stability in an ever-changing world only makes our anxiety worse. Imagine a river. Its water flows, twists and turns, never staying the same for even a second. Now picture yourself trying to hold on to a single drop of water, refusing to let it go as the river keeps moving forward. This is how fear controls us, by anchoring our thoughts to things we cannot control. The Buddha taught us that nothing is permanent except change. When we fight against this truth, we create suffering. But when we accept it, we find freedom. Think about a time when fear took over your mind. Maybe you were stressed about an approaching deadline, a hard conversation, or an uncertain future. Did that fear last forever? Or did it eventually pass like a cloud floating across the sky? To embrace impermanence means to understand that fear is temporary too. Instead of fighting it, observe it. Ask yourself, what is this fear trying to teach me? Acknowledge it without judgment and allow it to move on, like a wave returning to the sea. In today's fast-paced world, where we constantly feel the pressure to succeed and stay in control, this perspective is life-changing. When challenges come, a setback at work, a broken relationship, or a big decision, remind yourself, this is temporary. Even happiness and success are impermanent. But this isn't something to fear. It's a reminder to be mindful. When you accept impermanence, you stop overthinking the future and start living fully in the present. You face your fears with courage, knowing they won't last forever. Each moment becomes precious, not because it will last, but because it won't. So the next time fear whispers in your ear, remember the river. Life flows forward, always changing, always moving. You're not here to resist the current, but to flow with it. Let go of the illusion of permanence, and you'll find peace, not by controlling fear, but by understanding its nature. Fear is a visitor, not a permanent part of you. Embrace impermanence, and you'll unlock a strength that no fear can take away. This lesson doesn't just change how you think, it transforms how you live. Lesson 2. Understand the nature of suffering. Why do we suffer? Why does fear tighten its grip when life feels uncertain? The Buddha explained this through one profound truth. Suffering is universal. Fear, anxiety, and pain are not signs of weakness or personal failure. They are part of the human experience, deeply rooted in our attachments and aversions. Imagine a traveler carrying a heavy bag on a long journey. Inside the bag are all the things they cling to: expectations, fears of loss, and the desire for control. With each step, the bag feels heavier, making the journey harder and more painful. This traveler represents all of us. We carry the weight of our attachments, afraid of losing what we hold dear or facing what we wish to avoid. The Buddha described this as the nature of suffering or dukkha. He taught that much of our suffering comes from clinging to things we think will make us happy or trying to push away things we fear will bring pain. But life doesn't always go as we want, and when reality doesn't match our expectations, we suffer. Now let's pause and think. What if we could see suffering differently? Instead of treating fear and anxiety as isolating and personal, what if we understood them as part of the shared human experience? When fear overwhelms you, whether it's the fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown, it's easy to feel alone, as if no one else could possibly understand. But the truth is, every person you meet has felt fear and anxiety. Suffering is something we all share. This understanding changes everything. It removes self-blame and brings compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. When you realize that suffering connects us all, fear stops being your enemy. Instead, it becomes your teacher, reminding you that you are human and inviting you to grow. The Buddha once said, "Suffering is universal, but so is the path to freedom." And what is that path? It starts with acceptance. Accepting that fear and suffering are part of life doesn't mean giving up or losing hope. It means letting go of resistance to reality. It means freeing yourself from the loneliness that fear creates. The next time fear arises, remind yourself, this is part of being human. I am not broken. I am not alone. Use this truth to practice kindness toward yourself and others. Offer a kind word to someone who is struggling, knowing their pain reflects your own. In doing this, you will find strength in our shared humanity. You will take the first step toward freedom. Yes, suffering is universal, but so is resilience, growth, and healing. When you embrace this truth, fear no longer defines you. Instead, it becomes a bridge to compassion and courage. Lesson 3. See the illusion of fear. What is fear, really? Is it a monster lurking in the shadows, ready to attack at any moment? Or is it something else? Something far less real, but just as powerful? According to the Buddha, fear is often an illusion. It's a mental projection, a story our minds create by imagining the worst-case scenarios. Picture this. You're standing in a dark room, and your heart starts racing as you spot what looks like a coiled snake on the floor. You freeze, paralyzed by fear. But when someone turns on the light, you realize it's only a rope. This is how fear works. It thrives in the darkness of the unknown and the imagined. Fear is not a fact. It's a fleeting thought, a story your mind tells to protect you from possible harm. But here's the truth. Most of the things we fear never actually happen. The failures we dread, the rejections we anticipate, the losses we prepare for, they're often just figments of our imagination. The Buddha taught that to overcome fear, we must see it for what it truly is, an illusion. When fear takes hold of you, pause and ask yourself, is this threat real, or is it something my mind has created? This simple moment of awareness can completely change your perspective and loosen fear's grip on you. Think back to a time when fear consumed you. Maybe it was the fear of speaking up, starting something new, or facing an uncertain future. Did those fears turn out as badly as you imagined? Most likely they didn't. The snake was just a rope. In our modern lives, fear often hides in the form of overthinking and anxiety. It whispers, "What if you fail? What if you're not good enough?" But when you shine the light of awareness on these thoughts, you see them for what they really are, just shadows, not reality. The Buddha said, "Fear is not a fact, but a fleeting thought. Shine the light of awareness on it, and it will disappear." This teaching is a powerful reminder. You don't have to believe everything your mind tells you. So, the next time fear rises within you, take a deep breath. Pause. Observe your thoughts. Ask yourself, is this fear based on truth, or is it an illusion I've created? In that moment of clarity, you take back your power. Fear loses its hold on you when you recognize it for what it is, an illusion. And in its place, you'll discover courage, clarity, and the freedom to act. Remember, fear may seem real, but its power lies only in how much you believe it. Turn on the light of awareness and watch it fade away. Lesson 4. Cultivate mindfulness. Where does fear live? It doesn't exist in the present moment. Fear thrives in the past and the future, in the regret of what was and the worry of what might be. But here's a powerful truth. The present moment is always safe. That's where mindfulness comes in. A cornerstone of Buddhist practice, mindfulness is the art of being fully present. It teaches us to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment, creating space between ourselves and our fears. Fear lives in the what-ifs of tomorrow. Mindfulness, however, brings us back to the calm of now. Imagine standing on a beach, watching waves crash onto the shore. Each wave represents a thought, some gentle, others overwhelming. Without mindfulness, you're swept away by the tide, caught in a storm of fear and anxiety. But with mindfulness, you become the observer. You watch the waves rise and fall, knowing you are not the ocean. You are the one watching it. Fear often takes hold when we dwell on the past. I shouldn't have said that. I wish I had done things differently. Or when we leap into the future, what if I fail? What if everything goes wrong? In these moments, we forget a simple but powerful truth. The only thing we can control is this moment, right now. When fear arises, mindfulness offers a lifeline. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Feel the air fill your lungs, then leave your body. Notice the sensations around you, the texture of the chair you're sitting on, the sounds in the room, the rhythm of your heartbeat. This practice of grounding anchors you in the present, where fear has no power. The Buddha taught that mindfulness is the path to freedom from suffering. By observing your thoughts without attaching to them, you create space to respond rather than react. You see fear for what it truly is, a fleeting emotion, not an unchangeable truth. In our fast-paced world, cultivating mindfulness can seem difficult, but it's simpler than you think. Start small. The next time you feel fear creeping in, pause and breathe. Ask yourself, what do I hear? What do I see? What do I feel right now? This practice pulls you out of the storm of anxious thoughts and into the stillness of the present moment. Mindfulness doesn't eliminate fear, but it transforms how you relate to it. It reminds you that while you can't control the waves, you can learn to surf. In the calm of the present, you'll find clarity, courage, and the strength to move forward. Fear may try to call you back to the past or pull you into the future, but mindfulness will always guide you home. To now. Lesson 5. Let go of attachment. Why do we fear losing the things we love, whether it's a person, a possession, or a dream? Often, it's because we believe our happiness is tied to them. But in truth, fear is born from attachment, clinging tightly to something in a world that is always changing. The Buddha taught that true freedom lies not in holding on, but in letting go. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But when you open your palm, the sand rests gently, undisturbed. Life is like that sand. The harder we cling to people, possessions, or outcomes, the more we invite fear of loss, failure, and change. Attachment is a natural part of being human. We all long for stability and control. But here's the irony. The more we cling, the more vulnerable we become to life's uncertainties. Change is inevitable. Relationships evolve, careers shift, and possessions come and go. When we base our happiness on these external things, we tether ourselves to the unpredictable and open the door for fear to enter our hearts. The Buddha taught non-attachment, not to deny love or ambition, but to embrace them without fear of losing them. It's about focusing on your effort, not the outcome. Picture this. You plant a seed in your garden. You water it, nurture it, and care for it. But you cannot control whether it grows or bears fruit. What you can control is your intention and effort. In modern life, practicing non-attachment means changing your perspective. If you're working toward a goal, pour your heart into the process, but release the need for a specific result. If you love someone, cherish them deeply, but let go of the idea that your happiness depends entirely on them. True security comes not from grasping, but from trusting in your inner resilience. The next time fear arises, fear of failure, rejection, or loss, ask yourself, what am I clinging to? What would happen if I let go? Letting go doesn't mean giving up or walking away. It means releasing the need to control every outcome and finding peace in the effort itself. The Buddha once said, "Freedom lies in letting go, not in holding tight." Letting go doesn't mean you care less. It means you trust more. Trust in the flow of life. Trust in your ability to adapt and grow. When you let go of attachment, fear begins to fade. You realize that happiness isn't found in what you hold on to, but in the space you create when you release it. And in that space, there is peace. Deep, unshakable peace. Lesson 6. Cultivate patience. Why do we fear waiting? In a world driven by instant results, the unknown can feel overwhelming. Impatience magnifies fear, fueling our need for quick fixes, immediate answers, and certainty. Yet the Buddha taught that patience is the antidote to this turmoil. When we cultivate patience, we learn to trust life's natural rhythm and find peace in its flow. Imagine planting a tree. You prepare the soil, water the seed, and then you wait. You don't dig it up every day to check its progress. You trust the process, knowing that the tree will grow in its own time. Life is no different. Challenges, resolutions, and personal growth take time. When we rush, we invite stress, frustration, and fear. Patience, however, transforms this discomfort into wisdom. Think about a time when fear consumed you, waiting for the outcome of a job interview, making a big life decision, or anticipating an answer that could change everything. Your mind likely spiraled with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. But what if, instead of rushing for clarity, you chose to sit with the uncertainty? What if you trusted that the answer would come when the time was right? The Buddha described patience as a powerful form of strength. It's not passive waiting, it's active trust. Patience helps us face challenges calmly, knowing that the storm will pass, the seed will grow, and the answers will appear when the time is right. In today's fast-paced world, cultivating patience is more important than ever. When stress builds and the fear of the unknown takes over, pause. Take a deep breath and remind yourself that not everything needs to be resolved immediately. Ask yourself, what can I do in this moment? What can I let go of? By focusing on what's within your control and surrendering the rest, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. The Buddha said, "Fear fades when you trust that life unfolds in its own time." Patience is a teacher, showing us that growth cannot be rushed. It reveals the beauty in life's gradual unfolding. The next time impatience fuels your fear, think of the tree. Its roots grow deep in silence, unseen, before it stretches toward the sky. Trust that your efforts, your journey, and your struggles are all part of a greater process. Patience isn't just about waiting. It's about waiting with faith. Faith in yourself, in your resilience, and in life's ability to guide you to where you need to be. When you cultivate patience, you don't just quiet your fear. You build the foundation for peace, strength, and enduring courage. Bonus Lesson 1. Reframe challenges as growth opportunities. What if fear wasn't something to avoid, but a guide pointing you toward growth? It's easy to see challenges as roadblocks, things to fear or evade. But every fearful experience carries the seed of transformation. The Buddha's teachings remind us that fear isn't a barrier. It's a bridge to your greatest self. Think back to a time when fear stood in your way, starting a new job, moving to an unfamiliar place, or risking vulnerability by speaking your truth. Your heart raced, your mind was filled with doubts, and staying in your comfort zone seemed tempting. But looking back, wasn't that moment a turning point? Didn't it teach you resilience, courage, or something new about yourself? Fear arises when we step beyond the familiar. It signals that we're entering uncharted territory, a space where true growth happens. Instead of resisting fear, reframe it as an opportunity. See it not as a threat, but as a teacher. The Buddha taught that life's challenges are not punishments, but lessons. When faced with adversity, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can I grow from this? In modern life, reframing challenges starts with changing your perspective. When fear arises, pause and remind yourself, this is a chance to grow. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Think of an athlete training for a marathon. Each grueling mile tests their limits, but they push forward, knowing the discomfort is proof of growth. Life's challenges work the same way. Fear is the discomfort of stepping into your potential. The Buddha said, fear is not a barrier, but a bridge to your greatest self. Every time you face your fears, you expand your comfort zone and discover capabilities you never imagined. The next time fear visits, welcome it. Let it remind you that you're growing, stretching, and becoming more than you were yesterday. Fear doesn't block the way. It is the way. Trust in the journey, and you'll find the growth you seek on the other side. Bonus Lesson 2. Harness the power of self-compassion. When fear strikes, what's the first thing you tell yourself? Do you criticize your reaction, call yourself weak, or wish you were braver? Many of us are our own harshest critics, and this inner conflict magnifies fear, turning it into something far greater than it needs to be. The Buddha taught a powerful truth. Compassion for yourself is the first step to dissolving fear. Imagine a young child standing at the edge of a pool, trembling with fear. Would you yell at them to jump or criticize their hesitation? Of course not. You'd gently encourage them, reminding them it's okay to be scared and assuring them they can face the moment. But when it comes to ourselves, we often forget this same kindness. Fear often stems from self-judgment. We tell ourselves we shouldn't feel afraid, that we should be stronger. This harshness deepens fear and makes us feel isolated. Self-compassion is the antidote. It reminds us that fear is not a flaw. It's a universal human experience. In moments of fear, try speaking to yourself as you would to a dear friend. Instead of saying, "Why are you so afraid?" try saying, "It's okay to feel this way. Everyone feels fear at times. You're doing the best you can." This simple shift softens fear's grip and builds emotional resilience. The Buddha's teachings emphasize that self-compassion is not indulgence, it's strength. It allows you to face challenges with a steady heart, knowing that fear, mistakes, and setbacks are part of the human journey. To harness self-compassion in modern life, pause the next time fear arises. Acknowledge your feelings without judgment. Place a hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and say to yourself, "I am scared, and that's okay. I am human, and I'm learning." By doing this, you create a safe inner space to process emotions without letting fear overwhelm you. The Buddha said, "Compassion for yourself is the first step to dissolving fear." Fear may not disappear, but self-compassion gives you the courage to move forward despite it. Remember, fear is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of growth. By meeting it with kindness, you transform it into a teacher. Be gentle with yourself. Fear may visit, but self-compassion will remind you that you have the strength to face it, learn from it, and move beyond it. Conclusion. Fear whispers to you where your deepest attachments and untapped strengths lie. By embracing impermanence, letting go of control, and anchoring yourself in the present, you transform fear from a prison into a pathway. As the Buddha taught, you are not the storm, you are the calm awareness behind it. With mindfulness, patience, and self-compassion, you can illuminate the shadows of your mind and step boldly into the life you deserve. Fear may knock, but peace is always your choice. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like and share this video to inspire others. Subscribe to Artist at Living for more transformative Buddhist insights that guide you to a peaceful and empowered life. Thank you.